Hey, have y'all heard that the USDA Secretary, Brooke Rollins, has announced the removal of 700,000 ineligible SNAP recipients? Many of these individuals were illegal migrants and deceased individuals. 27 states cooperated in handing over data that revealed the abuse of $100 billion of spending. This investigation started in February of this year and has also led to 128 arrests. Now, this is the good part. 21 Democratic-led states withheld the data. California and New York sued to block the requests. But I'm sure all the Democrats that will be in my comment section will have an excuse for why this is A-OK.
Hey everyone, it's Brooke Rollins. This week, we are seeing real action to restore fairness, accountability, and common sense to our food assistance programs. President Trump's vision to restore common sense reforms to SNAP, or food stamps, is moving to its implementation phase. The One Big Beautiful Bill enacted revised work requirements for able-bodied adults between 18 and 64 who receive SNAP, meaning they will be required to work, to volunteer, to train, or even to study at least 80 hours a month to qualify for benefits as a floor. That's 20 hours a week and 4 hours every work day. This is about restoring dignity and responsibility. We're ending a system where some were taking advantage while honest, hardworking Americans foot the bill. As I have pointed out, the data shows clear misuse, deceased individuals still receiving checks, people collecting benefits in multiple states, and so much more. This is unacceptable. And while we're talking about that, to the 21 states who have yet to send us their data, what is it that you are hiding? Let's partner together to defend the taxpayer and make sure that those who are most vulnerable among us are receiving the benefits. There is dignity in work. There is dignity in service to your community. There is dignity in career and technical education. Also, all USDA programs, including SNAP, are continuing to be under significant review to kick off any illegal immigrants receiving federal benefits. That means no more freebies for lawbreakers. Benefits will be preserved for citizens who follow the rules. We believe in helping Americans who play by the rules. We believe that if you are able-bodied, you should work or contribute to receive taxpayer-funded help. But we also believe that there are vulnerable Americans who need this supplemental nutrition assistance benefit for a short term to help them get back on their feet. That's only fair, and that is right. It's time we restore accountability, protect hardworking taxpayers, and make sure aid goes to American citizens, not to those who are illegally gaming the system. If you're tired of a welfare system that's been exploited for too long, this reform is one of many that will promote work, reduce dependence, and make certain SNAP support those truly in need: children, the disabled, and the elderly.
What's going on, everybody? Appreciate you guys pulling up today. We got to talk about it, man, because the Trump administration is doing exactly what millions of us voted for: cleaning out the waste, fraud, and abuse that's been rotting our welfare system for decades. Simple as that. I voted for this. I'm sure you voted for this. And if you want to know where the biggest pile of corruption is hiding, look no further than the welfare programs, especially in states like Minnesota, where the Somali welfare scam has blown up into a national embarrassment. We're talking tens of millions of taxpayer dollars flowing in and out of Minneapolis, out of nonprofit daycares, ending up in the hands of al-Shabaab terrorists in Somalia. This is documented in state audits, federal investigations, and the massive 2019 DOJ bust that exposed an entire network of welfare fraud in the Twin Cities. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz is sweating because the scheme, it grew under his watch, and people want answers. But here's the good part. The Trump administration is not looking the other way. They're going straight at the problem, starting with SNAP, the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. And this is long overdue because SNAP is one of the biggest fraud targets in the entire federal government. You guys know we spend an exorbitant amount of money on SNAP. Now, according to the USDA, SNAP trafficking, people trading food stamps for cash, cost taxpayers nearly $1 billion. And that's just what gets caught. And while the media cries on cue every time someone mentions cutting waste, the Trump administration is doing something simple and logical. Take people off the system who were never supposed to be on it in the first daggone place. That starts with illegal immigrants, non-citizens who do not qualify, people who are not paying into the system, who have never paid into the system, but are draining the system dry. Let's be clear here. If you are not a U.S. citizen, if you are not a tax-paying American, if you don't come from people that actually pay taxes into the system, you do not have a constitutional right to the American welfare benefits. Point blank, period. The left wants you to believe otherwise, but that's not compassion, that's insanity. Meanwhile, citizens who actually do qualify get stuck in line behind people who shouldn't be in the daggone building in the first place. So yes, when the Trump administration says it's time to enforce eligibility rules, tighten verification, and remove non-citizens from SNAP rolls, that's not cruelty. It's common sense, in my opinion. And that's exactly what the people voted for, because the American people are done funding welfare pipelines that lead to foreign terrorist groups, done watching states like Minnesota turn a blind eye, and done pretending that the federal programs don't need accountability. This isn't controversial. It's just being responsible. It's adult governance. And frankly, it's refreshing to finally see a White House treat taxpayer dollars like they actually belong to the taxpayers. Hit that like button, share this video, subscribe to the channel. Let's get into it.
We had a couple of people receiving benefits in 6 states. In February of this year, we asked for all the states for the first time to turn over their data to the federal government, to let the USDA partner with them to root out this fraud, to make sure that those who really need food stamps are getting them, but also to ensure that the American taxpayer is protected. 21 states said yes, not surprised. 29 states said yes, not surprisingly, the red states. And that's where all of that data, that fraud comes from. But 21 states, including California, New York, and Minnesota, the blue states, continue to say no. So as of next week, we have begun and will begin to stop moving federal funds into those states until they comply and they tell us and allow us to partner with them to root out this fraud and to protect the American taxpayer. As Joe Biden was working to buy an election a year ago, he increased food stamp program funding by 40%. So now as we continue to roll that back. So
that's insane. Increase by 40%. And a lot of it going to illegal immigrants who they say the money's not going to, but we know that that is the case. I need y'all to listen to this right here.
So this is the chart of the SNAP program. Now, I know everyone can't see this, but this goes back to October of 2023. And I want everyone to follow. This is the red line that under Joe Biden, you see an almost 30% increase in the cost of the SNAP program over the 4 years that President Biden and the USDA was overseeing it with Congress funding it. And you see the downward trend since President Trump was reelected November. I say that because the astronomical costs of the SNAP program under Joe Biden was historical. It was unprecedented, and we don't have the same levels of funding that were there in the past.
Interesting. You said some of the silver lining is we're getting to look a little bit behind the SNAP program. So we know that 20% of illegals are on SNAP and that 59% of households headed by illegals use SNAP or some other multiple welfare programs. This is one of the first things we did when I walked in the day one of USDA, February 13th, is we sent letters to every governor in America being very clear that no illegal aliens can use SNAP. 0, 0, 0. We asked every state for the first time in history, and this was in February, to send us their data and let us, with DOJ and a war room, actually start going through this data to better understand how this explosion of SNAP benefits happened under Joe Biden. We increased almost 40% on this program in just a couple of years under the Biden administration. Of course, we know they were trying to buy the election, but that's a conversation for another time. In that data, we've studied about $100 billion in spend. We have found
thousands and thousands of illegal use of the EBT card. We have been moving people off of SNAP. We've got almost 700,000 people, I think, we've moved off just since the president took office. We've arrested about 118 people. So this has been ongoing. But Rachel, to your point, what this conversation has allowed is a national spotlight on a broken and corrupt program. Like, it is time to drastically reform this program so that we can make sure that those who are truly needy, truly vulnerable, are getting what they need, and the rest of the corruption goes away and we can serve the American taxpayer. So we want to, number one, most important, get the government open, make sure the people that really need this.
This is crazy, man. Seriously. This is your taxpayer dollars going towards illegal immigrants or able-bodied people. Simple as that. And the fact that you have Democrats, one, who fight tooth and nail on everything. They're fighting the administration. There's 21 states that do not want to give the data because what we've already discovered in the 29 states that did give out the data or provide the data, we found it's pretty bad. Can you imagine what's going to be found when we get the data from California and New York and the other 19 blue states that's been holding on, to this information? Now, it makes you wonder, what are they hiding? It really does. And what are they doing that is so bad that would cause for them to all get together and put together a lawsuit to stop this? This is crazy. Typically, where there's smoke, there's fire.
The fight over federal food support is once again pitting Minnesota against the Trump administration. Attorney General Keith Ellison is joining nearly 24 other states suing the Trump administration over changes to SNAP or food stamps. This lawsuit focuses on who is eligible for food assistance. Ashley Graham's read through the lawsuit tonight. So, Ashley, what'd you find?
Well, Frank, Democratic attorneys general are leading this effort against the federal government, accusing the USDA of blocking some legal immigrants from receiving SNAP benefits. Attorney General Keith Ellison says this Thanksgiving he's wrapped up in a lawsuit.
Here we are on the eve of this important American holiday. We're fighting to keep food on the table of people who are in our country lawfully and who are entitled to these benefits.
Filed every lawsuit regarding SNAP.
On Wednesday, Ellison, alongside 21 other Democratic attorneys general, filed a lawsuit against the federal government over guidance issued by the USDA about SNAP benefits. Ellison claims that guidance wrongfully denies food assistance to some legal immigrants, including permanent residents admitted as refugees or given asylum.
The law is clear. Refugees and other vulnerable legal immigrants become eligible for SNAP once they obtain their green cards and meet other program requirements. If Trump doesn't like the law, he's welcome to try to change it through the normal, usual legal means.
A spokesperson for the White House said in a statement President Trump was elected with a resounding mandate to eliminate waste, fraud, and abuse across the federal government, which includes ensuring that illegal aliens are not receiving benefits intended for American citizens. Guidance from the USDA was issued late last month, months after the One Big Beautiful Bill Act was approved by Congress. That new law limits eligibility for some non-citizens. But the lawsuit filed today claims USDA guidance, quote, goes beyond the act, arbitrarily excluding from SNAP many lawful permanent residents who remain eligible. WCCO News reached out to the USDA, and a spokesperson said the agency will not comment on pending litigation. Roughly 440,000 Minnesotans use SNAP, but it's unclear how many people may actually be impacted by this guidance. Ellison claims this guidance could expose states to costly penalties for not complying. The lawsuit asks for a stay and tries to block the rules from taking effect.
Let me say this as plainly as I can possibly say it. America, we'll talk about the Democrats, liberals in America. These people are out of their minds. Think about this, man. No other developed country on earth hands out social benefits to non-citizens and undocumented immigrants the way that we do. None, no one, zilch. Europe makes you wait 5 to 10 years. Canada says, prove you can support yourself or don't even bother applying. Australia, 4-year residency requirement. Japan, forget about it. Even legal residents barely qualify. Everywhere else, welfare is earned. It's not given. In America, it's treated like some welcome package. While hardworking citizens fight inflation, pay taxes, and struggle to make ends meet, our government opens the door and says, come on in, we've got SNAP, housing, Medicaid, food programs, you name it, we got it. The taxpayers will handle it. Are you freaking kidding me? And then we wonder why the system is collapsing under its own weight. This isn't compassion. This is national self-sabotage. That's what's going on. When you have the previous administration increase the SNAP benefits by 40%, that is insanity. This is what happens when politicians care more about virtue signaling than sustainability. And somehow citizens, the people who actually fund the system, are treated like an afterthought. Every other nation protects its welfare state. America abuses its own. And until we stop pretending this is normal, the country is going to keep bleeding money, bleeding resources, and bleeding common sense. This makes absolutely no sense. I'm glad that this administration has decided to step up and say, no mas, we can't afford it. Do you guys not understand that we're operating at an annual $2 trillion a year deficit? Do you guys not understand that? It is crazy. It's unsustainable. But in my opinion, I think that's what the Democrats want. They want something so crazy, so unsustainable, that the system crumbles from within and they can tear it down and build this 1984 George Orwellian utopia that's not going to work, that's never worked anywhere. But I'm going to hear your thoughts on all of this in the comment section. Hit the like button, share the video, subscribe to the channel, turn the notifications on to all so you never miss an upload. Consider joining the ARP family or buy your brother a coffee. That link's in the description box below. All right? Join us Monday through Friday, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for ARP in the morning. And as always, keep God first, stay prayed up. We'll catch up with you all next time. Peace.